everyone, welcome back to the strawberryloli channel and welcome to another get ready with me / shop my stash. So last week I did a get ready with me as well. I might make this a weekly thing, like a get ready with me or makeup review video once a week, and then the rest of the content can be centered around books or other topics that are interesting me at the time. But anyway, the get ready with me video that I did last week, it did a pretty good job of quelling the desire that I had been having for a couple of the holiday releases, in particular the Chanel holiday release, the Enchanted Night face and eyeshadow palette. After taking a proper look around and rediscovering, reutilizing some of the items in my collection that I had neglected, but come to find out that I still really enjoy them, that pretty much quelled my desire for that Chanel quad. Also, I did get a chance to swatch it in person when I was passing through the department store while running some errands last week, and while it was very pretty, of course, I was able to just put it down and not really feel like I had to have it. I didn't have that FOMO itch attached to it anymore. I thought I was in the clear, however, before I actually got into the clear, what do you know? My desire for that Chanel quad got promptly replaced by the desire for another quad that was served up on, you know, the Google ads or whatever, the automatic ads that pop up when you're scrolling through your phone, which was the holiday edition Guerlain eyeshadow quad, Regarde, which means look at me in French. And this one, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably going to be even significantly harder for me to resist than that Chanel quad, because this one actually, like, it's pretty much a summation of all of my favorite types of shades. There is a light baby pink in there, there's a red, there's a burgundy, and there's like a coppery brown. So I mean, as far as the color combination itself goes, you could say that it's pretty generic, but those colors are right up my alley. And so I decided, you know what, this is capitalism, this is marketing at work insidiously trying to get inside my brain. Let me just follow the same tactic that I used last week, and instead of running to the store to go pick up this palette on impulse, by the way, the packaging just completely captivated me as well, like the whole rhinestone blinged out eye art on the front. Okay, maybe to some people it's kind of like an old lady-ish type of design. Guerlain, by definition, is kind of an old lady brand, but I'm into it, okay? Something about this palette just drew me in so unexpectedly. So I'm trying to create this Pavlovian response where instead of what I always did in the past whenever I would feel this impulse to buy a new hyped up makeup item, instead of running to the store and emptying my wallet, I'm gonna run to my current collection and either find something similar so that I can create like a look with the similar color palette of the item that I'm lusting after, or just give myself free range to, again, really just explore my current makeup collection and maybe rediscover some old gems that I have forgotten about. Okay, I guess I said this was a get ready with me / shop my stash, but I guess we should add another slash in there because I do feel like I want to do something within the general color story of this 888 Regarde palette. And the good news is these are obviously not revolutionary shades by any means. It's just 90%, 95% the packaging that's luring me in. So I'm actually going to be pulling colors from these two palettes. This is the Pat McGrath Mothership Mega Celestial Nirvana palette from their holiday collection last year. I'm actually quite thankful that none of the Pat McGrath holiday releases for this year caught my eye. So that means I can just continue to focus on and enjoy this palette, which obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of options here in this palette alone. And this one even. This is the Too Faced Pop-Tarts palette, bite-sized in frosted strawberry for the strawberryloli channel. This was gifted to me by one of my lovely subscribers, and you can see even in this color story alone, you can pretty much achieve something very close to what that Guerlain palette is offering. But before we get to the color selection, let me just speed through my base makeup application and then let's reconvene for the eyeshadow. Okay, before we move on to the eyeshadow, let me just throw on some blush first. So I pulled this palette out. Do you guys remember this? This is from 2 years ago now, I believe. Year of the Tiger. And this was the Estee Lauder Year of the Tiger special like blush / highlighter release. And I remember at the time quite enjoying this trio. I just kind of forgot about it quickly after Chinese New Year's was over because I got caught up in reviewing blushes from other brands, but I actually really like Estee Lauder's products in general. They're good quality. Again, maybe similar to Guerlain, the brand as a whole kind of falls under the old lady category of makeup brands, which is why you don't really see it trending that much on social media. But as far as the quality of their formulas and stuff, I think that Estee Lauder has remained pretty consistently good throughout these years. I mean, I can't speak to every single category or makeup item, but definitely the powders. Like the blushes, the highlighter here, which has the tiger face. It looks darker in the pan than it comes off. It's just like a champagne-y rose gold color. But yeah, Estee Lauder blushes, eyeshadows, their powder formulas really check out for me, so don't sleep on Estee Lauder. I remember back in the day I used to use these little trio eyeshadow palettes from them religiously as well. Just gonna apply a little highlight. I like to do it diagonally, inwards, like 2 lines converging to a V. I feel like for me personally, that just brings out my cheekbones. And then maybe just a smidge on the tip of the nose. It's funny, ever since I started shopping my stash a little bit more, like not just reaching for the same 10 makeup products that I use every single day, I have been using highlighter more frequently, even though I feel like it's a totally unnecessary step. But the thing is, I have so many highlighters, whether they're in palettes or they're standalone. And yeah, look at the names of these brands. These are not by any means inexpensive brands, so I figured I might as well try to use them up a little bit, and I'm kind of glad I started to do this just in time for the holiday season as well. I feel like if there's any time of year where it's a little more appropriate to have some more shine on your face, it would be the winter time. Yeah, it's just giving me a pleasant reminder about how a little bit of highlighter, a little bit of pop on your cheek can really add that extra dimension to your look, especially if you don't have the sharpest bone structure or whatnot like me. It can really give you that, like, I don't want to say not chiseled, but
Okay, I have no idea what happened here. The audio on my camera cut out for a good but I was basically just saying how highlighter helps to keep my face looking snatched. I've been getting compliments recently as well whenever I wear highlighter. And here I'm just selecting shades from my eyeshadow palettes to dupe the vibes of the Guerlain. Maybe it's better that the audio cut out at this part because I did ramble on quite a bit, but basically I ended up choosing 3 shades from the Too Faced Strawberry Pop-Tart palette and then 1 shade from the Celestial Nirvana. I feel like almost all the shades were a pretty good match, at least just going based off of the online swatch pictures of the Guerlain palette. The only thing I felt was slightly off was the shimmery burgundy shade on the upper right hand corner. I didn't have anything quite as rich, so I just went with a lighter version, but we already have a darker matte red, so yeah, I felt like that wasn't too much of a problem.
I think I have a pretty good match here. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and apply these to my lids, see how it turns out. Okay, I am going to go all over the lid with this light pink shade. I'm actually not the biggest fan of this shade. It's quite powdery compared to the other shadows in this palette, but it is what I have that is the closest match to the Guerlain. We'll just roll with it. Okay, wow, the glitters are very much apparent when you actually apply this shade onto the eyes, but it still has a very matte base to the formula, so I think it works out. I don't mind a little bit of extra shimmer. I'm basically just going to concentrate the pinks and the burgundies on the top lid, and then I will use that little pop of cinnamon on my lower lash line. That's the plan. Hopefully it turns out nicely. I'm gonna slightly mix in this slightly deeper pink at the bottom here because I just feel like the light pink kind of disappeared. And I'm just gonna attempt to blow out the harsh edges. Okay, we're finally done with the eyes, and I'm just gonna finish up with a matching lip. It's funny, I feel like that was almost faster than sometimes when I do my usual, like, go-in style makeup. Okay, so for the lip color, I'm going to go in with yet another item that I was obsessed with for a hot second and then literally forgot about. Do you guys remember this? The Flirte heart-shaped clickable lipstick, or lip gloss really, because most of these are quite sheer. Okay, yeah, this is the shade that I want. It's just like a mauve-y, almost berry shade. It's funny, I totally forgot about these. Again, not because they're not good. I feel like this is still a very solid product, even if it's not viral anymore. But that's just the crazy thing about social media. Like, people will get super obsessed for a short period of time and then just completely forget about that product 2 weeks later. And it's almost like, regardless of the actual quality of the product, this is just the hype life cycle, if you will. I'm remembering now, the one thing that kind of has always been my pet peeve with these lipsticks is that the heart shape is actually quite annoying and not very helpful. I don't know if it's the heart shape per se, but the fact that this is a very melty formula, you kind of can't avoid getting it like all across the perimeter of the applicator. Even when I try to tread lightly or when I try to dab it on, I feel like half of the product always ends up on the edges. So yeah, I feel like Flirte or Flort, if they wanted to, they could stand to improve this design just a little bit, but then again, it's already a very affordable item, so I can't see that they would invest any money or effort into doing that. Yeah, the craze around this formula was definitely not mostly attributed to hype. It was, and it still is, an exceptionally glossy formula, and I think it just brings out the best of my lips because it really plumps it out. Okay, so this is the finished look. Why do I feel like it came out a little more gothy than I originally intended? Or I feel like these colors are not inherently, they don't scream goth to me, but maybe just the fact that I'm wearing all black. Well, anyway, it's not a bad thing to have a little goth moment. I just thought it would be more Christmassy or festive, but I'm really getting Morticia Addams vibes from myself right now. Anyway, this is how the look turned out. What do you guys think? I'm pretty happy with it. I know that it's not everyone's cup of tea to have red mixed with pink, but I personally have always loved that color combination. I don't mind colors that are closer in shade to each other being paired with each other necessarily. It's just all about the exact shade match, in my opinion. You can pretty much make any two colors go well with each other as long as there is some sort of obvious contrast there, as long as they have the same undertones or whatever. But yeah, you can make red and pink work together, is what I'm trying to say. You just have to make sure it's the right shade of red and pink to play off of each other well. And I think I did a decent job here. Of course, it's not exactly the same as probably what you could achieve with the Guerlain palette, but I feel like, I don't know, it's pretty damn close. And especially the fact that there's like a little pop of copper almost on the bottom lid. I feel like that also adds kind of a unique element to this whole look, even though it's not necessarily like the most colorful or most out of the box. It does kind of just make you do a double take because you don't necessarily see red, pink, and copper being blended together. And yeah, I'm happy with the blush choice as well because it brings out more of that copper element in this look, especially with the highlight shade in the middle here, as well as the lip color. I think is the perfect muted berry shade to tie the whole look together. So I gotta tell you something, I am relieved in a way after doing this, because if I'm 100% honest, I was not convinced at the beginning of this video that I would be able to psych myself out of, or yeah, talk myself out of wanting to buy the Guerlain. Like, I really had my sights set on that palette, and I was on the verge of purchasing it, probably if not today, then by tomorrow. But I thought that, okay, I'm just gonna get on camera and dupe the vibes. So let's just film a video, get some content, and just use the colors that are on your mind right now, which is the colors in this Guerlain palette. But in the back of my mind, I have to admit, I was thinking that this is not gonna convince me to not buy the Guerlain in the end. I will say, while I'm not at 0% anymore, like, for the Chanel palette that I wanted a couple of weeks ago, that one I can say for sure I'm pretty much over it. Like, the FOMO addict type of feeling, for lack of a better term, has pretty much completely worn off. I'm not really interested in that palette whatsoever anymore. I mean, if someone were to give it to me, if it were to fall in my lap somehow free of charge, I would certainly enjoy having it and I'd review it for you guys. But I was very close to snapping on that Chanel palette and I managed to completely do a 180 on that. However, for this Guerlain palette, I had this feeling that even if I'm able to dupe the vibes immaculately with something that I already own, I don't know, I think it's just because the reds and pinks, those shades are kind of my weak spot anyway. So I was fully expecting myself to do this whole makeup look, really enjoy it, have fun while doing it, but still like holding on to the desire to buy the Guerlain palette. But I am kind of shocked to report back that my desire for the Guerlain palette has been cut by, I'll say, 80%, just by nature of doing this. 80% is not 100%. That means there's 20% chance that I still might find myself in the Guerlain duty-free shop when I'm waiting for my flight to Dubai at the end of December. And if they happen to have leftovers or stock of this palette available, I might just snatch it up because it'll be, you know, tax-free at that point. But 80% puts me on the winning path, no? Like, I feel that actually gives me hope that I could win this battle as well against Guerlain. The majority of my mindset right now is quite leaning towards not purchasing, or at least holding off on the Regarde palette. I've had it pulled up in front of me this entire time on my my browser, right? And I've been looking at the colors obviously to match them as well for this video. But yeah, just 2 hours ago when I started filming, I was on the verge of adding to cart and clicking that purchase button. And now I feel like I've backed off from that ledge. Like, I'm back to where, okay, I don't think I quite want to just drop, how much is it, 13,000 yen on something as small and frivolous as this quite yet. So yeah, I don't know. I would count that as a huge win for myself personally. I think it's a sign that I need to keep doing this. Like, every time I feel the impulse urge to buy a new piece of makeup that I obviously do not need in any stretch of the imagination, I think I should follow this pattern of just running first to my existing collection and shopping my stash instead. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Let me know what you think of this look. I love that my nail color matches as well. If you're interested in any of the not the Western products, because I don't have discount codes for those, but if you're interested in any of the Asian makeup products that I tried today, I will link YesStyle commission links to those down below in my description box. Thank you so much for joining me as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye!